Hello everyone. So in the last class I gave you an assignment question. Show that the map, that is the conjugation map f from uh, C to C defined by f of z will take to z bar. It's an isomorphism. Hopefully we are done with that. No one has posted any doubts regarding that. So let me recall a few facts what we studied in the last class. We studied what is an homomorphism. And isomorphism. Homomorphism in the sense it's a map where f of a plus b is f of a plus f of b, and f of a into b is f of a, f of b, and you have two rings. You can take the same ring also, but if I take two different rings, then it's because if I take two, if I say s is equals to r, you can define always have the identity map as an homomorphism, and there as well as you can have zero map as an homomorphism. Is it clear? Then we studied some properties of these homomorphisms and isomorphism. That is, the first property is zero element will be always mapped to zero element. That's what. Let me try to clear it. Do some diagrammatic representation. So this is the ring R and this is the ring S, and once you apply the map F, zero element of this is mapped to zero element. That's what we had observed. Then second point is f of n is n times f of a, f of a power n is f of a whole power n. Then whenever the homomorphic image, see, that is the sense, if I say this much portions I had covered through that map, then this will be the subring of yes, that is I denote this by f of r. If f is onto, it will cover every element, then f of r is nothing but yes. And similarly the next point what we had observed is, if you have identity element with respect to r, that is here I am considering the identity element with respect to multiplication. If it is 1r, then f of 1r will be the identity element. It is the identity element of f of r. Is it clear? That means if I have the identity element in r, it assures there is identity element in f of r. If f is onto, it's the identity element of s, undoubtedly. And if r is commutative, f of r is also commutative. And if f is onto, then f of r is nothing but yes. So that is commutative again. So these are the things what we discussed in the last class, and in this class I'll try to give how many such isomorphisms you can define in some rings. The first example I am taking is, if I consider the ring R to be a set of all reals or rationals, then how many homomorphisms you can define, that is from R to R? Is it clear? How many isomorphisms? How many isomorphisms you can have from R to R? See, as we discussed, there are two homomorphisms you can define. One is identity, another one is zero map. But here the question is, how many isomorphisms are to R which is onto. I want the homomorphisms from R to R which is onto. How many such isomorphisms you can define? That is the first question. So here we show that the only isomorphism from R to R which is onto, see, I stress this, I can find only one isomorphism from R to R which is onto. That is the identity map. Apart from identity map, I cannot find any other maps which is an isomorphism. Further, it should be onto. See, I can find 0 also, but it is not onto. 0 map also is an, you can say R by R is 0. You can find one more isomorphism by fundamental theorem of homomorphism. But it should be onto. If every element goes to 0, then definitely it is not onto. Is it clear? So, proof or else solution for this is, let me say F from Q to Q be an isomorphism. And this isomorphism is onto. Definitely once it is an isomorphism, then identity element will be mapped to identity element, that is f of 1 is 1. If I have 1 here, once I apply the map, it will go to the identity element. Then if f of 1 is 1, what is f of 2? It is f of 1 plus 1. And again it is f of 1 plus f of 1. But what is f of 1? It is 1 plus 1. So this is 2. So f of 2 is 2. Similarly, what is f of 3? F of 3 is 3. So what is f of n? F of n is n. But here I can consider integers for all n in integers. And let a by b belongs to q, because see, considering q, so here I had proved f of n is n for only for integers. A portion of this I had proved. There are some elements which are not integers in this q, that are the fractions. 1 by 2 is there, 1 by 4 is there. So this portion is okay. I had proved I have no problem with this z, because for all elements of the z, f of n is n. But to show for any fractions it will work. What is the case for any fractions of this kind where b is strictly positive or else non-zero? Then what is a? It is f of a by this. But I can write this as f of b, a by b, since b is non-zero. This is nothing but f of b is an integer. It is, can I write it as a by b plus a by b plus a by b, b times. So it is b into f of b, f of a by b. So it doesn't make any difference. But I can write this as a by b, how many times? B times again. So it is b times f of a by b. In the LHS I have a. So what is, if I take this to the that end, it is a by b is f of a by b. For rationals also I have f of a by b is a by b. Is it clear? So you take any rationals, still I can say that will be mapped to same element. That means it's an identity map. Now I need to show the same is true for reals. That is, if f is a real number, that is your ring R is a real number, then I need to show that isomorphism. What else I can have? Onto isomorphism will be an identity map. See, now I have one thing in my hand. It is for the rationals. You can define. Here also I have rationals. So you can have an identity map. That's what I had proved earlier. So only I need to bother about irrationals. Is it clear? So here you need to understand the logic behind the proof. If it is an isomorphism, because I want an isomorphism which is onto, it's an onto, then what is f of 1? It is 1, because I have the identity here, it will map to identity. That's clear. So since I can think about the rationals which is contained in R, rationals I had defined, you can always have an identity map. So there is no problem with this smaller set. So this I can, but the only problem is if I take any element out from the rationals, I have the problem. Then I can write f of A is A for all rationals. Okay, let x be any real number. So I am considering any, such that let x be strictly positive. So what is f of x? F of x I can write it as root x whole square, because root x whole square is x, and square root of x is defined if x is positive. That's why I took x is positive. Now this will imply me it is f of root x whole square by the property of homomorphism, and this is greater than 0. So whenever x is greater than 0, f of x is greater than 0. That's what we are observing here. That means this will imply me f is increasing. You should ask me question why f is increasing. See, since it is onto and it's an isomorphism, means it is 1 1. Once it is an isomorphism, it is 1 1. If it is 1 1, it can take only one value at a time. So either it can go in this way or else it can come in this way. It cannot jumble here and there likewise. It cannot go in this way, because this is not onto, this is not 1 1. Is it clear? So that cannot happen. Either it should go in this way or else it should come in this way. Since I took x is positive and f of x is greater than 0, that means everything is for this real number in this ray from here to here. Always you will have in the upper half. And further, it cannot come in this way and it cannot be a constant. Once it is a constant, every value will go into one value. It is not onto. Is it clear? So it's 1 1 onto, in the sense either it should decrease or else it should increase. For the definite, I will say f is increasing. If f is increasing means, let me say this is the increasing, and I can have alpha and beta. What is f of alpha and f of beta? If alpha is less than beta, f of alpha is always less than f of beta. Is it clear? Then choose any, since these are real, choose a rational in between a real. Let me say some q. So q is a rational in between these two reals. Since f of alpha is less than f of beta, and see, alpha is less than beta, I can find a rational. Okay, change in this way. You say this is rational and this is rational, because already you know there is an identity map with respect to rational. If I take R, there is no point in proving that. You need to approximate a real between two rationals. That's the idea. So I have a rational Q, and I have one more rational. Let me say one is alpha, another one is beta, which are rationals. Alpha is a rational and beta is a rational. In between you can find a real. Let me say that real is some x. Is it clear? So whenever alpha is less than x and it is less than beta, how to write this? Alpha and beta are there, they are real. In between you can find a rational. Sorry, alpha and beta are rationals. In between you can find a real. Alpha is a rational and beta is a rational. X is a real number. You can find this. So what is f of alpha? You just apply this map. F of x and less than f of beta. Since f is increasing, and since f is increasing, I have the equality will retain. Is it clear? So this is the idea here. Somewhere you have alpha, somewhere you have beta. Let me say you choose these to be rationals. Why, I will let you know. By the end of this proof you will be knowing. So what is f of alpha? Or else in between these two rationals I can find one real. Let me say it is x. F of alpha is this, f of x is this, f of beta. So look to this. This is f of alpha and this is f of x and this is f of beta. So definitely f of alpha is less than f of x. It is less than f of beta. Since alpha is rational, f of alpha is alpha only, because I have an identity map from Q to Q. See, f of A is A for all A in Q. So what is f of beta? Since beta is rational, this is beta. Now keep on moving likewise. You can shrunk this, that is you can approximate in between alpha and beta. If you are finding f of x, that means somewhere here. Just keep on shrinking this. Let me say this is the alpha and this is the beta. Then what else you can think about? This you can say it is nothing but x. Is it clear? Because this works for any rationals. In between two rationals you have in it's dense. Real are dense in rational and rationals are dense in reals. So by the property you can approximate f of x to look like x only. Keep on shrinking this, that's all. I chosen, sir, how to shrink this? Don't say in that way. See, I chosen a rational and I chosen a rational here also. Instead of that, you choose some rational here and some rational very closer to this. Sir, if that is the case, can I choose still smaller? Yeah, you can choose, because in between two rationals you can have infinitely many reals, and in between two reals you can find infinitely many rationals. Is it fine? Next is show that the only isomorphism from C to C, C on to C, the only isomorphism from C on to C is the identity map. Here also we need to show it's the identity map. So let me say f from C to C defined by see, this is the case. Here I have C and C. You take the smaller subring, R is there, and we proved in the last class whenever the R to R you can have an identity map. While proving from R to R we had considered Q, but here while proving from C to C we will consider the set of all reals, and for the set of all reals from R on to R you have an onto isomorphism or else onto homomorphism. Now how to say I can define an isomorphism which is the identity, or else see two maps are here. Either I can define identity or else the conjugation map. These two will satisfy our condition here. So to arrive at this case is, let me say f of z is f of a plus ib. It is f of a plus f of I times f of b, where a and b are reals. Once you have real, what is f of a? It is a. F of I, f of b is b, because from real to real we already know we can have an identity map. So let me say f of I is t. F of I is t. What is t square? It is f of I whole square. By our property of the homomorphism, it is f of I into f of I. It is nothing but f of I into I. So f of minus 1. So f of minus 1 in the sense it is minus 1. So t square is minus 1. This implies t is plus or minus I. So what is t? It is f of I is plus or minus I. If f of I is I can have f of a plus ib as f of a plus I into f of b. That is f of I. Yes, let me say it is by the homomorphism f of I plus f of I, f of b. If f of I is I, it is f of a is a plus I, b. So f of a plus ib is this. If f of I is minus I, then f of a plus ib is a minus b. Is it clear? If f of I will map to minus I, by this I can have f of a plus ib is a plus minus I times b, which is a minus ib. So one is the identity map, the other is the conjugation map. Is it clear? Then take one assignment question. For any square free integer, let me say that square free integer is not equals to 1. Describe all isomorphisms from q of root t, in the sense it will be a plus b root d. That's all. Kindly try to find how many isomorphisms you can describe for this. In fact, you will have same idea as we proved for the complex. The answer will be, it is either a plus b root t is mapped to a plus b root t. One is the identity map. The other is a plus b root t is mapped to a minus b root t. The other is the conjugation map. So two maps will be there. On the similar lines for the earlier problem, you can prove this. If you don't get the answer, let me know in the you can post them, and just we can try to come over from all these doubts what you have. In the next class we will discuss field of quotients. Kindly try to look into the definition, what exactly the field of quotients is. So once you look into those things, we may accelerate a bit and we can think about ideals in the upcoming class. Thank you.